So we are talking about hygiene product, and the goal of this specific webinar is to share with you a few model formulas so you can get the impression and you can get the idea how to utilize technologies to make a hygiene product. These technologies offer to make the product more efficient, to make the product more skin friendly, and also the formulas are looking at other aspects of the protection of the skin, not only protecting from pathogen, but also nourishing and hydrating the skin. So this is the purpose of this part right now. So the question that you may have is, why do I need to use any formulations or any technologies? Because it could be straightforward. So here are a few logical reasons that we're trying to share with you on why we think you should be using technologies. So first of all, with the technologies, we allow you to really simplify the whole production and the whole development of products, which means the formulation the technologies makes the formulation easy to process. They are all homogeneous, they're all compatible. There are not any issues of preparing side batches and then mix them all together. The idea is that you do the whole batch in one vessel. So that simplifies and makes the whole production simple and cheaper. Now, with the technologies, you can make very cost-effective solutions. In other words, you don't have to buy the whole amount of the minimum requirements for order, but you can buy with the technology smaller amounts. And so you don't have to stock up with raw materials that you may not know whether you will use them in the future or not. So this is just about management of stocks and inventory. Then the technology in the formulation that we will present is offering a way for a well-rounded skin protection. In other words, we don't only limit it to the COVID-19, which we're struggling right now, but we are looking at the whole complex of how to protect your skin with other elements as well. So this is now a major benefit because hopefully we will overcome the coronavirus, but there are other pathogens that may hurt us in the future. Now, our data, exclusively our data, indicates that the technology offers a time release protection. In other words, the technology can offer a longer lasting benefit in terms of how long you can be protected. What does it mean? Typically, if you use alcohol, it's protecting you for a few seconds, maybe a few minutes. As long as the alcohol evaporates, you are exposed back to get the pathogens, and then you may carry the pathogen on your skin. We are offering a technology that could provide you a longer lasting protection. However, I want to say upfront, and this claim, so it will be clear, we did not apply for this claim with the authorities. And this is OTC product controlled by EPA, NIH, and so on. We did not get the full opportunity. So we cannot claim on our product for sure 6 hours protection or so on. But we have data to indicate that. So I will show you some creative way to inform the customer about this without putting the claim upfront. Then we are offering a unique way to utilizing natural ingredients with ability to protect us. Why we use the natural and not just synthetic? We know that synthetic works for sure, there's no doubt. But some people are hesitating to use natural. They don't believe natural can give the same level of protection. So I'm happy to share with you, and I shared a lot of information on my previous webinar about HydroSal natural antiseptic, showing that natural antiseptic, this specific proprietary blend, is giving a very good protection against a broad range of pathogens at a very low level. So it is beneficial to use a blend of natural ingredients for long-term protection, because by using a variety of ingredients, we reduce the chances for the bacteria to develop resistance. And if the bacteria are resisting the pathogen or the chemical, if the bacteria resisting the chemical, and then the chemical is not useful any longer. So you have to find another chemical which may be more stronger or more potent. So this is a continuous struggle. By using a natural blend, you avoid this. So for long term, okay, for long term, we would recommend to look at the natural version rather than the synthetic version. So this is the reason why we focus you into these technologies. We're going to talk about two technologies in our presentation, following the previous presentation in which I explained the logic and the value of the technologies. One of the technologies is called HydroSal Benzalkonium Chloride, or in short, BKC. This is a synthetic way and synthetic approach. And the second one is HydroSal Natural Antiseptic, which is utilizing natural ingredients. So both of them are used to protect the skin from a wide range of pathogen, and details we said in the past. And now we go forward to show you some product that you can use. So in this broadcast, we're going to show you 7 different approaches. The first one will be liquid to foam with natural antiseptic, all natural formula. Then a lotion, all natural with natural antiseptic. Then we show you a natural lotion with HydroSal BKC with some unique skin feels. Then we'll show you a leave-on gel, which is a leave-on. It's utilizing HydroSal BKC, and it's a completely alcohol-free. Then we show you a spray, HydroSal BKC. Then we show you a shampoo and a wash with multifunctional capabilities. And of course, alcohol gel with HydroSal BKC. Some of the formulas have been developed here in Salvona in New Jersey, and other formulas have developed in Bangkok by our partner from Alpha Tech. So you will see the difference. So just before I start to move on the technologies, to remind you what we are talking about. We're talking about a technology that's called HydroSal. HydroSal is made of submicron spheres in diameter of about 0.1 to 0.3, very difficult to see without a scanning electron microscope. The basic structure is based on a porous core and a shell, and the functional ingredients are always encapsulated within the core. So the core is carrying the load. Now, how does it work? Just to remind you, you will see this animation video, and this is a product that has been applied on the skin. So this is the surface of the skin, and once you apply it in any form, this is the particle. Now, what happens with time? The material evaporates, the water evaporates from the product, and as the water, excuse me, I have to go back. As the water evaporates, the shell collapses and forms a film on the surface. We see it again. Okay, so this is our particle. You see definitely the core and the shell, and water evaporates. The shell will spread and stick onto the surface. This is a way to adhere it. Now, continuous evaporation of the solvent, it's encapsulating the core. So this is what we call encapsulation in situ. Now, this is the way that the material will stay in. So if we encapsulate, for example, BKC, you see the BKC is locked in at this point. It's not on the surface. To overcome this problem, we will show you in the formulation how we overcome by adding some free BKC compared to encapsulated BKC. So now we have the encapsulated BKC on the skin or any surface, and then when it approaches water, the water from outside or water from inside the skin is able to break down the shell. And by doing so, now BKC is able to diffuse out. And when BKC become available on the surface, which happens in seconds when we approach the water on, now when bacteria will come in contact with the BKC, the bacteria will die. So this is the process. This is a process It's not, in this case, it's not immediate, but it requires to first of all get dry, and then we expose to water, and you see the bacteria will die. Now, the release is not immediate, and the process can go back into locking in some of the BKC. So another wave of water or moisture will now break down totally the shell, and all the BKC will be exposed. And now this BKC is available to react with the bacteria or the other pathogens, for example, viruses. And we have some evidence that the BKC is very useful also against a variety of viruses, including the coronaviruses. So this is the basic story of our technology. And let's go on. So what do we know in terms of capabilities to address this issue? So we know that in order to fight pathogen, we have two methods. That's it. One method is based on alcohol. So alcohol at a level of between 60 to 95, never 100. A blend of alcohols, that concentration, 60 to 25, is useful to kill bacteria, and it kills bacteria immediately. But of course, it doesn't give you a long lasting, not more than 5 minutes even. The other way is alcohol-free, different type of sanitizer, mostly based on benzalkonium chloride, either BKC or BZC, different shortage of words. We prefer to use on skin for long term, of course, alcohol-free, because we consider alcohol as something that can damage the skin. This is the basic structure of benzalkonium chloride. You see it, the ammonium chloride. This is a liquid, it's colorless, the density is below 1, viscosity is 120 centipoise, the pH is about 6.6 to 8.5, varies. So this is the basic BKC. Now, we take the BKC and then we encapsulate it. What you see in picture A is the encapsulated format of BKC. Then if we then mix it with the base, depends on the color of the base. If the base in this case is yellow, then it will become yellow. But the basic color of HydroSal BKC is clear and it's liquid, and it's very easy to be to incorporate it in terms of viscosity and other properties. So this is the model of BKC, HydroSal BKC, and you see there is a single molecule, which is benzalkonium chloride, and that's it. On the other hand, a natural antiseptic is based on 9 different botanical extracts. You can see here the names, and you see here the typical ingredients out of this extract that has a function, that have a functionality of antiseptic. So this is all was discussed, and I just review it. And this is the model system, the logo for this. Now, HydroSal BKC is a natural solution, and it can be incorporated in multiple forms of product. The major benefits are low toxicity, natural, we cannot say no toxicity, just to say low toxicity. It's a natural product, has the ability to inhibit a broad spectrum of pathogen. I use the word inhibit and not to kill, but it inhibits, it's a bacteriostat. And it demonstrated to be effective at 0.45%, pretty low. Okay, and now I would like to introduce you to Brian. At this point, I stop sharing. So allow Brian to start sharing. Brian is our chief formulator. And he joined Salvona some time ago, and since then he really got control of all our technologies, and he will help me today to introduce you how we formulate the different product. So Brian, it's all for you.
Okay, hello. Hope everybody is doing well. Start sharing my screen here.
Good.
Great. So today I'll be showing you a couple of formulations featuring our two technologies, the Hydro Sal BKC and HydroSal Natural Antiseptics. So these formulations are really only as a guide. You can change them to your liking. So our first one is going to be a liquid to foam formulation with our HydroSal Natural Antiseptic. As you can see, the formula is mostly water here. So this one is very basic. We have a little bit of glycerin and propane diol. These are to help disperse the xanthan gum into the water. And what the little bit of xanthan gum does here is provide some nice skin feel afterwards once you've washed off this formulation. There is 1% surfactant for cleansing property and for foaming power. Then we have another one of our technologies, the Salsphere Aqua Skin, in here to provide some moisturization. And then obviously the HydroSal Natural Antiseptic at 10% to provide the antiseptic properties of the soap. And then I did add a little bit of preservative into this, but it really isn't necessary with 10% natural antiseptic in there. So that could be taken out. So next we have a video demonstrating how these are formulated.
There's no sound.
There's no sound?
No sound. So why don't you speak?
So you can't hear anything, Sam?
Nothing.
Okay, well, I'll just do it. So you can see I pre-mixed the xanthan gum and the Zemea together. Add that to the water, and that will start to thicken up a little bit.
Turn on your speaker on your computer.
I have them going through my earbuds, Sam.
That's why we cannot hear.
Right, so I can just say it, it's fine. Now I'm adding the glycerin to help the water match the refractive index of our actives. And we'll fast forward a little bit. We add some of the foaming surfactant. Next, we add our first technology, the Salsphere Aqua Skin. As you can see, it's fairly compatible with the water. It goes in with very little time. Now I'm adding the 10% HydroSal Natural Antiseptic. As you can see, it does make the solution slightly opaque. Now I add the preservative. And this natural antiseptic liquid to foam formulation is done. So as you can see, this is the type of packaging we would be putting it in. It is a foam pump, so it is liquid while it's in the packaging. You pump it and it becomes a foam on the hand. We rub it in and then wash it off. So the possible claims for this type of formulation would be that it's fast acting, and you have that long lasting skin hydration from the Salsphere Aqua Skin. This is a all natural formula, and even though I added preservatives, you really don't need it in there. So this could be considered an alternative to preservatives. Next, we have a lotion with the same active technology, our HydroSal natural antiseptics. So as you can see, this is a fairly simple lotion formulation with our technology just added at the end, which is fairly simple in processing. So again, we have some Zimea and Caltrol CG, which is the propanediol and xanthan gum, to help the water phase thicken up a little bit and provide some skin softness. Then we have our oil phase dispersant, the isostearyl isostearate, that with we would heat that and then mix it with the other oil phase components that will provide the skin conditioning, moisturization, and softness. So as you can see here, I'm just checking the temperature of the water to make sure that it is at the temperature needed to add the Caltrol and Zimea. Eventually, we want the water and oil phase to be isothermal. And what I mean by that is that they are at the same temperature so that when we add the oil to the water phase, the oil doesn't change temperature so that it doesn't thicken or solidify, because then that would create a chunky dispersion or chunky emulsion. So here I add the xanthan gum and Zimea dispersion to the water. I'll increase the speed a little bit to make sure that it doesn't thicken too much to the point where it's not mixing properly. And we time jump fast forward to where that oil phase is now heated. That is the isostearyl isostearate. And what I like to do is mix all the liquids of the oil phase together first, and then add the solids to that and allow them to melt. So I did a small batch size here just to demonstrate and to make it go a little bit faster. But if you're using a larger batch size, I would definitely recommend putting both phases on propeller mixers and their own separate hot plates. Now I'm adding the cocoa glucoside. Now I'll begin adding the waxy solids. So I'll begin by adding some glycerol stearate. And once your oil phase is up to temperature, these should melt fairly quickly. Next, I will add the cetyl alcohol. And finally, I'll begin adding these oils. So coconut oil. And finally, shea butter. And now what I will do is check the temperatures to make sure that both phases are at around 75 to 80 degrees Celsius. Now that I've checked both of them and they are both isothermal, I will begin adding the oil to the water phase. As you can see, you can add the oil to the water fairly quickly. It doesn't have to be a slow process. And a nice white emulsion is formed. So now we will allow that to cool. And now that it is below 45 degrees, we can add our technology as well as this preservative. Now we will add our technology, the HydroSal Natural Antiseptic. And as you can see, it will turn the formula from white to a bit of an off-white, but there is 10% of this technology in there, so that is to be expected. And now we have a lotion with HydroSal Natural Antiseptic. This would be the typical packaging that you would see this in. And so what would this be used for? Be used to protect against any harmful bacteria and any wear and tear of the normal oxidative processes to the skin. So there is some moisturization involved in this. So it can be used to prevent skin infections. It can be used to treat minor cuts, scrapes, and burns. And so what are the major features of this? It is using all natural substances. The functional ingredients are encapsulated to reduce potential irritation and extend the benefit over time. And what this also has is some hydrating technology because it is a lotion. So what I'm going to show you next is the exact same lotion formulation, but with our other technology, Hydro Sal BKC. So as you can see, the Hydro Sal BKC is added almost at the exact same spot as the HydroSal Natural Antiseptic. So this following video that I'm going to show you picks up basically in the exact same spot as the last one did, where we were adding our technology. So the lotion phases A1 all the way down to B9 are exactly the same as the last one. So if we play this. As you can see, that's the same lotion that we had before. Just checking the temperature to make sure it's below 45 degrees Celsius. Now we will add our Hydro Sal BKC technology. And as you can see, it doesn't change the formulation whatsoever. Then finally, we add a little bit of preservative to the formulation. And then once that goes in, it can be pH adjusted with really your choice of adjusters. What we typically use is 20% arginine or 20% lactic acid. So this lotion would typically look like this. And this would really be used for the same things as the natural antiseptic one. The only thing is that this one is using BKC as its active ingredient. So it can ease some pain from skin irritation, and like the other one, treat the minor cuts, scrapes, and burns. So this one can be used on babies, the natural antiseptic, which is kind of counterintuitive. You would think that the natural one would be better for the babies, but this one has been approved for them. You can use this on your lips. You can use it for rashes, cuts, scalds, stings, and sunburn. It can help soothe sunburn. So for general use, you would just rub a gentle thin layer onto the affected area and let that absorb, and repeat if it starts to, you start to feel it again. Next, we have a leave-on gel with Hydro Sal BKC. So this would be like your typical hand sanitizer. So as you can see, this one is almost 85% water. Then we have 2% hydroxypropyl guar gum dispersed into propanediol and then added to that water to thicken it into the gel. Then we have a little bit of free benzalkonium chloride. So what that will do is to help kill on contact. And then since we have our encapsulated BKC, that will give that extended release over time to provide that long lasting protection. And then we also have another one of our technologies, the Hydro Sal Fresh. So what this does is provide a little bit of cooling and help the scent of the BKC not be so overpowering, because it can be a little strong, but the Hydro Sal Fresh really gives it a bit of a minty smell. So this is a fairly simple formulation, as you will see. So we begin by pre-mixing our guar gum with our propanediol. So now we will fast forward to once that is dispersed. and begin to add it. And that should start to thicken almost immediately. And once you notice it starting to thicken up, you can increase the propeller mixing speed. So you do want to mix that for at least 15 minutes because it will thicken up over time. So now we add our free BKC, which is in the form of the Uniquat QAC80. So that free BKC will be able to kill on contact, and then the encapsulated BKC that you see here will provide that extended protection over time. And then finally, our other technology, the HydroSal Fresh, will be added. And this will give you that sensory benefit, a little bit of cooling, and help the scent of the formulation. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it is done. So this will sanitize your hands, leave them clean. It is alcohol free, so it will not dry your skin like the classic alcohol-based sanitizers will. It has its antiseptic properties. It does not leave a residue. The hydroxypropyl guar creates a gel that almost leaves your hands feeling soft, if anything. And so, like I said, it will refresh the skin and you can feel it. This does include encapsulated and free BKC to help kill on contact and to give you the extended protection over time. And if you would like, this type of formula could be enriched with something like aloe or vitamin E. And the way you use it is you place enough on your palms to thoroughly cover your hands and rub in together briskly until dry. And you'll be able to feel it in between your hands. It won't be sticky, it should be soft. And now I will begin presenting our formulations from Alpha Tech Science. So the first one is an antibacterial spray with Hydro Sal BKC. So what antiseptic sprays generally are used for are disinfecting hard surfaces, sanitizing soft surfaces, and deodorizing surfaces in the air. I wouldn't generally recommend using HydroSal BKC as a deodorizer, although it does have a scent of its own, so that could be a use for it. So antibacterial sprays themselves are generally used for the surfaces, minor wound care, first aid antiseptic. And so what this formulation is it's simply 98.5% water, a little bit of castor oil, and our HydroSal BKC technology. And this is what it will look like. As you can see, all the ingredients are mixed together into this one beaker. It almost looks like it's just water. And then the rest of the water is added. see, it's just a simple spray. So this antibacterial spray with HydroSal BKC can be used on hands, really any other part of the body. I wouldn't really recommend using it on your face, but hands, any other part of the body, hard surfaces. You can use it to refresh any face masks that you need to. So this is a very basic spray formulation. Next, we will move to an antibacterial shampoo and body wash with HydroSal BKC. As you can see, this one has 0.5% of our HydroSal BKC technology. The water phase is thickened with hydroxyethyl cellulose, dispersed into the diglycerin, and then added to the water. Then for the cleansing phase, we have our FLES, very classic cleansing surfactant, with the stabilizer, the hexane diol, and the thickener, the salt thickener sodium chloride. Here's what it will look like. So this is the hydroxyethyl cellulose and glycerin and water. Next, the second phase, which is the HydroSal BKC and PEG 40 are premixed together. And then 15.5% of the water from that first phase is taken, and the BKC and PEG is dispersed into that. And that should give a clear solution. Next, we have our cleansing surfactants and stabilizers, as well as our salt thickener. So all of those mixed together, and then so this is the water phase. This is the HEC, hydroxyethyl cellulose, being dispersed into the water. Next, we have our surfactant phase is added to the beaker. And then finally, our active phase of HydroSal BKC is added to the beaker. Then our salt thickener, sodium chloride, is added, and then mix well until it's homogeneous. And then you have a finished wash and shampoo. So it could be used as a hand wash, but it can also be used as a shampoo. So it inhibits bacteria and infection. It can reduce itching, irritation, redness, and flaking. It will soothe inflamed scalp tissue. And it leaves the hair and scalp clean, fresh, and feeling great. So like I said, this can be used as both a shampoo and a body wash. So that 2-in-1 multifunctional formulation can be useful. Next, we have an antibacterial sanitizer with HydroSal BKC. So something that is important to note is that there's a difference between soap and sanitizer. Soap has cleansing surfactants that remove dirt from the hands, whereas sanitizer does not contain these, and it really just has those active ingredients that help to kill bacteria and stave off viruses, hopefully. So next we have our, and another thing is that this can also be used safely on pets. So we have antiseptic and antifungal shampoo. This is pet friendly. So finally, we have alcohol-based gel with HydroSal BKC. So these alcohol gels can kill viruses and other bacteria and fungi on contact, but once the alcohol evaporates, you are exposed again, like Sam said. So these sanitizers work by removing the outer layer of oil on our skin. Then the alcohol penetrates the cell while damaging all of the proteins, and therefore the proteins die and we are protected. So alcohol is less effective if you don't use enough of it or if you don't rub it in well enough, because then it just sits on top and evaporates. So these products will typically contain some combination or just one of these alcohols. So it can be isopropyl, ethyl, or N-propanol. And they can contain anywhere from 60 to 95% total alcohols. And these are the most effective. And obviously they are flammable because they contain 60 to 95% alcohol. And something to note is that some of this alcohol is absorbed into the skin, and it is found that the alcohol in the bloodstream of people who use hand sanitizers, so it can go into your bloodstream, but it is not at a level that will affect you in any way, shape, or form. So here is our alcohol-based gel formulation. As you can see, we have carbomer to thicken. We have the PEG 40 hydrogenated castor oil at 1%, mixing that with the benzalkonium chloride active. And then our water phase with the glycerol 26, which is similar to glycerin and water. And then we have our 70% ethanol base and TEA to neutralize it. So there is our carbomer, and we will be mixing that with the water. Now we will add 20% of the alcohol to the beaker. And now we will add the triethanolamine and mix until homogeneous. And then this is our active phase with the BKC and castor oil, as well as the glycerin to help disperse it. Now we will slowly add that and mix until homogeneous. Finally, the rest of the alcohol and the triethanolamine will be added. That can be added pretty quickly, and then mix until clear and homogeneous. It should be fairly similar, just a fairly simple liquid formulation. So, like we said at the beginning of these formulations, these are pretty simple formulas and you can adjust them to your liking. So you could add scents to these if you really want to. But obviously with the, I think the World Health Organization mandate, there can't be any scents in sprays that you are trying to sell, but if you would like it for your own use, then scents, you can add different humectants, aloe and vitamin E. So this would be used in a spray or a dispenser bottle. So you can use the sanitizer to moisten your hands, and like the one before, you just rub it for 15 seconds or until thoroughly dispersed on your hands. It has to cover all of your hands and you wait for it to dry. It's for external use only. And like I said, these are flammable because they are alcohol based, so don't use them around fire. And it is recommended to not store them above 104 degrees Fahrenheit, which shouldn't be a problem. So in summary for these formulations, we offer a unique encapsulation technology that can enhance your formulation's antiseptic capabilities. So like we demonstrated, the BKC that was free is used to kill on contact, and then we have that encapsulated BKC to give that long-lasting protection. So our HydroSal technology offers the deposition of those functional ingredients like the BKC and the natural antiseptics onto the skin. which will enhance the protection for a longer period of time.